time. So a lot of people think the Fed can get away with it this time because they did QE 1, 2, and 3 after the '08 financial crisis, and we didn't have inflation. But there's a big difference between then and today. Back then, we put all that monetary base in the system, and then we hammered banks with new regulations. So they didn't really lend it out. That's when we ended up with all these new financial standards and regulations, and it's impossible to get a mortgage, or not impossible, but it's hard as heck, and all of that stuff. But this time, when they put the money in, they actually paid it directly to companies, gave it to people, and the M2 measure of money has exploded. It didn't back in '09, 10, 11, 12. And this time it's grown 30%. And Greg, that means inflation is coming. We already see it, but it's not going away. And I'll just come back to lumber. I heard somebody describe it. You probably describe it this way, Greg. It was an Eiffel Tower, chart, right? And the price of lumber went way up, and then when lumber came down, everybody goes, "See, it's all transitory." However, what they don't say is that it came down significantly, but lumber prices are still 40, 50% above where they were 2 years ago. That's permanent.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying you don't have traders, and technicals take lumber in and out, but we are at a new level for the price of lumber, and it's going to be significantly higher than it was 2-3 years ago.
Right. Honestly, Brian, I mean, my attitude towards that is lumber's been the same price for most of our careers. Greg's been doing this for 30 some years. I've been doing it for 20 some years. Same with Ashley. And we've been trading lumber from $300 a thousand to $500 a thousand for 98% of that time.
Yeah.
And so, it's
Right.
okay. It's okay that lumber prices could reset a little bit. An iPhone doesn't cost $100 anymore. It costs $500 to $1,000.
Right.
It just, the cost of goods is going to go up over time, but lumber prices
Right.
never really changed until the last 2 years. Having said that, do I think we should be trading lumber at $1,000 a thousand up to $2,000 a thousand? Nah, not really.
Nope. Yep. I'm going to totally agree with you with that. And I will just put a little bit of macro economic context around it, and you can buy it or you can not, but from when Paul Volcker took over the Fed in the late, he actually did it in the late '70s, but really jammed his foot on the brake and stopped inflation. Since then, we've had really calm, quiescent inflation numbers. 1, 2, every once in a while, 3, 4, you get a hurricane, it goes up, something like that. But 1 or 2% for 30 years. Well, it's all over now, because M2 is up 34% from where it was in February of 2020. The Fed has not pushed this kind of money into the system ever, really. But if you look at it over time, since the 1970s, and that's why a lot of people think this is transitory, and prices will go up because of supply chain issues. But I don't think they're permanently at 1,000, 2,000. I don't think that. But we're going to be up from where we were, and it's going to be 30, 40% higher than we were used to before.
So it sounds like they're doing it on purpose. So the next question is, why? What is the reason? Is it to get more tax revenue? I mean, is it to devalue your retirement savings? I mean, there's got to be an end run here as to what would the reason be to just pour gas on the fire of our economy?
Yeah, I mean, Matt, that's a great question, and here's, I guess this is my best answer, and that is the Fed has monetized government spending. We have this new, it's not new, by the way, but it's new sounding, modern monetary theory out there. And I have studied it a lot. And basically, it's an anti-capitalist group of people who will argue all day long that the government can spend as much as it wants because we have the printing press that can fund it. And in the end, we can just raise taxes and stop inflation whenever we want. This is Marxism. It's anti-capitalism. It's Keynesianism on steroids. And so really why the Fed's doing this is to fund all this government spending. And Ash asked the question about another $4.5 trillion. If we get that, they're just going to do it again. And that's why they won't stop buying $120 billion a month. I think I think when Jerome Powell said they would start tapering in November, I think he sealed his fate. I think he will be replaced as Federal Reserve Chairman.
Hmm.